Sam Miller stood at the viewing port of the transport ship, watching as the massive galactic conclave station grew larger against the backdrop of stars. After 20 years of space exploration, humanity had finally been noticed by the wider galactic community and invited to join their governing body. As the leader of Earth's first diplomatic mission, Sam felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "Nervous?" asked his assistant, Greg Bishop, coming to stand beside him. "A little," Sam admitted. "We're the new kids at school, and from what I understand, most of these species have been part of the conclave for thousands of years." The transport ship docked with a gentle bump. Sam straightened his blue diplomatic uniform and checked his translator device one last time. First impressions mattered. "Remember," said Greg, "they invited us because they were impressed by how quickly we adapted our technology after first contact. We deserve to be here." Sam nodded and led his small team of 5 humans toward the airlock. The doors slid open to reveal a wide docking bay filled with creatures of all shapes and sizes. Some floated in the air, others crawled on multiple legs, and a few looked almost human except for their unusual skin colors. A tall, slender alien with pale blue skin approached them. "Welcome, humans. I am Zeri, assistant to the conclave director. Please follow me to the greeting chamber where the other representatives await you." Sam and his team followed Zeri through wide corridors filled with more aliens than they could count. Many stopped to stare at the humans, some with obvious curiosity, others with what seemed like distaste. "They're not all happy we're here," whispered Diane Kelly, their cultural specialist. "New species rarely receive universal welcome," Zeri said without turning around, his hearing clearly better than they had assumed. "Especially ones as physically similar to the Tarsians as you are." "The who?" Sam asked. "A species that caused much trouble before being removed from the conclave. The resemblance is merely superficial, I'm sure." They entered a massive circular room with tiered seating. Hundreds of different species sat in designated areas, their quiet conversations creating a background hum. At the center was an open floor, with a podium. "You will be formally introduced, then invited to speak briefly," Zeri explained. "Afterward, there will be a reception where you can meet representatives informally." The conclave director, a massive being with 4 arms and shimmering scales, called for silence and began the formal introduction of Earth to the galactic community. Sam listened carefully as the translator in his ear converted the director's rumbling speech to English. "And so we welcome the humans, young though they may be, to observe our proceedings and begin the process of potential membership." Sam stepped forward as practiced and began his carefully prepared speech. "Honored representatives of the galactic conclave, we come in peace and with great excitement to join this diverse community of species." He was halfway through when the massive doors at the far end of the chamber burst open. A wave of panic swept through the room as aliens leapt from their seats, some screaming in high-pitched tones, others falling silent in apparent terror. "Vextar," someone shouted, the word cutting through the chaos. Sam turned to see what had caused such fear. In the doorway stood a creature unlike any he had ever seen. It was enormous, at least 10 feet tall, with a body covered in natural armor plates that shifted colors from deep black to blood red. Its head featured multiple eyes set in a protective ridge, and its mouth was filled with teeth that looked sharp enough to cut through metal. "Everyone get back," shouted a security officer, drawing what appeared to be a weapon. The Vextar let out a sound that was part roar, part hiss. It swept its gaze across the room before fixing on the central platform where Sam stood frozen. "Sam, move," Greg shouted from somewhere behind him, but Sam didn't run. Something about the creature's movements struck him as odd. Despite its fearsome appearance, it wasn't attacking anyone. It was pressing one clawed hand against its side, where a dark fluid leaked between its armor plates. "It's injured," Sam said quietly. The security teams were forming a perimeter, weapons aimed at the Vextar. The creature hissed again, backing up slightly against the door. Sam made a split-second decision. He stepped forward rather than back. "Human, return to safety immediately," the conclave director ordered. "Wait," Sam called out, raising his hands. "I don't think it's attacking. Look at its side." The Vextar's multiple eyes focused on Sam. Its armored plates rippled, changing colors rapidly from red to a deep purple. Sam took another slow step forward. "Sam, what are you doing?" Diane whispered urgently. "Something that feels right," he replied without taking his eyes off the creature. The room had fallen completely silent. Sam could feel hundreds of alien eyes watching him with a mixture of horror and fascination. He took another step. The Vextar made a low, rumbling sound, but didn't retreat further. Sam noticed that despite its fearsome appearance, the creature's body language seemed defensive rather than aggressive. "You're hurt," Sam said softly, pointing to his own side, then to the creature's wound. "We can help." The Vextar's color shifted again, patches of blue appearing among the purple. It lowered its massive head slightly, the multiple eyes blinking, in sequence. A gasp went through the watching crowd. "Impossible," someone whispered loudly. "It's responding to communication attempts." Sam slowly reached into his pocket and removed a small medical kit, standard issue for all diplomatic personnel. He opened it and took out a simple bandage, holding it up for the creature to see. "For the wound," he said, pointing again. The Vextar's rumbling changed pitch. It stayed perfectly still as Sam approached, step by careful step, until he was close enough to smell its strange metallic scent. This close, he could see intelligence in its alien eyes. "I'm going to help you," Sam said, moving with deliberate slowness. Behind him, he could hear the conclave representatives murmuring in disbelief. In front of him, the feared predator, the Vextar, allowed a human to come closer than any other galactic species had ever voluntarily approached. When Sam was just 3 feet away, the creature slowly lowered itself to a crouching position, bringing its injured side within reach. Its plates shifted to a calm blue color. The move was clear, a show of trust that shocked everyone watching. Sam carefully applied the bandage to the leaking wound. The creature made no move to attack, its multiple eyes watching Sam's every move with what seemed like curiosity. "There," Sam said when he finished. "That should help until we can get you proper medical attention." The Vextar rose again to its full height. It made a series of clicks and rumbles that Sam's translator couldn't decipher. Then, to the astonishment of everyone present, it lowered its massive head in what appeared to be a bow. From behind the safety barriers, the conclave director's voice broke the silence. "In 3,000 years of recorded history, no one has ever survived such close contact with a Vextar." There was a pause. "Human Sam Miller, you have done something previously thought impossible." Sam looked up at the creature's alien face. "I think," he said, "this is just the beginning of understanding each other." 3 months had passed since the shocking first contact between Sam Miller and the Vextar. The Conclave had provided a special habitat for the creature within the station, a large reinforced chamber with environmental controls set to match the Vextar's homeworld. Sam spent most of his days there, slowly building trust and attempting to communicate. The Vextar, whom Sam had started calling Razor due to the sharp edges of her armor plates, was surprisingly intelligent. She learned to recognize simple hand signals and would respond with color changes in her plates and specific body movements. Sam sat on a bench watching as Razor explored a pile of objects he had brought in. She picked up items carefully with her massive claws, examining each with her multiple eyes before setting them down again. "She's learning fast," said a voice behind him. Sam turned to see Kate Winters entering through the airlock. Kate was an old friend from the Academy and Earth's top xenobiologist. She had arrived just last week to help study this unprecedented relationship. "She is," Sam agreed. "Yesterday she sorted these objects by color without any prompting." Kate set down her equipment bag and pulled out a tablet. "The neural scans we did yesterday were fascinating. Her brain activity is off the charts, especially in regions similar to our problem-solving centers." Razor noticed Kate and approached slowly, her plates shifting to a curious blue-green pattern. She stopped a respectful distance away, lowering her head slightly, and the gesture she had learned was polite to humans. "Hello, Razor," Kate said, making the hand signal for greeting that Sam had established. Razor responded with a series of clicks and a low rumble that vibrated the floor. Her front claws made a pattern in the air that Sam recognized. "She's asking about the new device," Sam explained, pointing to a box Kate had brought. It's a prototype translator, Kate said. Based on the vocalizations and color patterns we've recorded, I think we're starting to identify patterns. This might help bridge the gap. The door to the observation area opened, and Admiral John Perry of the Galactic Defense Force entered with 2 armed guards. Unlike most officials, Perry had never hidden his distrust of the Vextar. Still playing with the monster, I see, Perry said, his voice cold. Sam stood up. Razor is not a monster, Admiral. She's an intelligent being trying to communicate. The Vextar have destroyed 3 exploration vessels and attacked colonies on the outer rim, Perry countered. The only reason that thing is here instead of being terminated is because you've somehow convinced the Conclave director to allow this experiment. Razor had gone completely still, her plates darkening to a deep purple. Sam had learned this was a sign of concern or wariness. She understands more than you think, Sam warned, and she hasn't shown a single sign of aggression since she arrived. Kate cleared her throat. Admiral, we've made significant breakthroughs in understanding Vextar communication. If you'd like to review our findings, I've read your reports. Doctor? Perry interrupted. They don't explain why this dangerous predator suddenly appeared at our most important diplomatic event. They don't explain why one of the most feared species in the galaxy is playing nice with humans, while they've attacked everyone else who's ever encountered them. Sam moved closer to Razor, who was now emitting a low, continuous rumble. Maybe, because we're the first ones who tried to help instead of shoot. Perry's face hardened. You have 1 month to show concrete results with this communication project. The Defense Council is getting nervous about having a Vextar on the station, especially with the increased reports of their activity near the Forbidden Zone. After Perry left, Razor's plates gradually shifted back to a calmer blue shade. She made a series of clicking sounds followed by a pattern with her claws. I wish I knew what you were trying to tell us, Sam said softly. Kate approached with the translator device. Let's try this. It's based on the patterns we've identified so far. She activated the device and placed it on a stand between them. When Razor made her next series of sounds and color shifts, the translator produced a rough, halting output. Danger. Not from Vextar. Humans. Different. Listen. Sam and Kate exchanged excited glances. Though basic, it was the first machine translation of Vextar communication ever achieved. Razor, what danger? Sam asked slowly, making sure the translator could pick up his words. Razor's response came through as, home. Attacked. Many Vextar. Dying. Need help. Your homeworld is under attack? Kate asked, adjusting some settings on the translator. Yes. Bad ones, take. Kill. Razor's plates rippled and what they had learned was intense emotion. Come, seeking help. Found humans. Sam sat down, processing this revelation. She didn't crash our meeting by accident. She was looking for someone who would listen. Over the next week, with the translator improving daily, they learned more of Razor's story. The Vextar weren't natural aggressors as the galaxy believed. They were territorial, yes, and formidable when threatened. But they had a complex society based around protection of their communities. Something or someone was attacking their home world, located deep in what the Conclave called the Forbidden Zone. Razor had been sent out as a scout to find potential allies, but every species she approached had either fled or attacked on sight until she found humans. Sam presented these findings to the Conclave Council, with Admiral Perry and other officials present. Even if what you say is true, the Admiral argued, involving ourselves in whatever conflict exists in the Forbidden Zone could drag humanity into an interstellar war before we're ready. Or it could establish humans as mediators in the galaxy, Sam countered. We have a chance to help a species that everyone else has feared and misunderstood. The Conclave director raised a hand for silence. This is unprecedented. The Vextar have been considered a danger to civilized space for generations. Yet the evidence of communication you've provided is compelling. Sam looked through the viewing window to where Razor waited in an adjoining chamber. She risked everything coming. Here she's asking for our help. I believe we should at least investigate her claims. Kate stepped forward with new data. The translator has progressed significantly. Razor has provided coordinates to her home world and details about the attacks. The room fell silent as they displayed a star map showing the location deep in the Forbidden Zone. "I request permission to lead a mission to investigate," Sam said firmly. "A small team, one ship, to verify Razor's claims and report back." Admiral Perry shook his head. "Absolutely not. It's too dangerous." But the Conclave director was watching Razor through the window, seeing how the massive predator sat calmly, waiting for a decision that would affect her entire species. "Perhaps," the director said slowly. "It is time we learned whether our fear of the Vextar has been misplaced all these years." Sam felt hope rising. Behind the glass, Razor's plates shifted to a pattern he had never seen before. A swirling mix of colors that seemed to express a complex emotion beyond the translator's ability to convey. Whether the galaxy approved or not, humanity was about to venture into the heart of the Forbidden Zone with the deadliest predator in known space as their guide. The USS Horizon cut through the darkness of space, its engines humming quietly as it traveled deeper into the Forbidden Zone. Captain Frank Rodriguez stood on the bridge, watching the unfamiliar stars on the main view screen. No human ship had ever ventured this far from Earth space. "Status report," he called out to his crew. Lieutenant Amy Doyle looked up from her console. "All systems normal, Captain. We're maintaining course to the coordinates Razor provided." Frank nodded and glanced toward Sam, who stood near the back of the bridge with Kate and Razor. The Vextar had been given special permission to move around certain areas of the ship, though many crew members still kept their distance. "How much longer until we reach your homeworld?" Sam asked Razor. The translator device, now small enough to wear on a wristband, converted Razor's clicks and rumbles. "2 of your days. We approach danger zone soon." Sam had noticed Razor growing, more agitated as they traveled deeper into the Forbidden Zone. Her armor plates rippled with darker colors, and she spent long periods staring out the viewing ports. "What kind of danger should we expect?" Frank asked, joining their conversation. "Machines. Guard territory. Attack all ships," Razor explained through the translator. Her claws made patterns in the air that the device couldn't interpret. Kate adjusted some settings. "I think she's trying to describe automated defense systems." "Defending what?" Frank asked. "Who set them up?" Razor's answer came through fragmented. "Bad ones. Take our materials. Kill Vextar." The ship's alert system suddenly blared to life. Amy called out from her station. "Captain, multiple objects approaching fast from Sector 4. "On screen," Frank ordered. The view screen showed several small metallic objects moving rapidly toward the horizon. They were roughly spherical with protruding antenna-like structures. "Defense drones," Razor said, her translator picking up her agitation. "Will attack." Frank didn't hesitate. "Shields up. Evasive maneuvers." The ship banked sharply as the first drone fired an energy beam that glanced off their shields. The impact sent a shudder through the vessel. "Shields at 80%, reported Officer Paul Davis from the engineering station. Those are some powerful weapons for such small drones." More beams lanced out from the attacking drones. The ship rocked with each impact. "Shields failing," Paul warned. "We can't take much more of this." Razor stepped forward, making urgent gestures. At the view screen, her translator conveyed, "Need specific frequency. Disrupt control signal." Kate quickly relayed this to the captain. "She says these drones are remotely controlled. If we can jam their signal, they might shut down." "Can she tell us the frequency?" Frank asked. Razor was already working with Kate, using the ship's computer to input a sequence of numbers. Her massive claws moved with surprising precision over the controls. "Implementing now," Paul said, adjusting the ship's communications array to emit a jamming signal on the specified frequency. The effect was immediate. The drones stopped firing and began to drift aimlessly in space. "It worked," Amy exclaimed. Razor's plates shifted to a pattern they had learned indicated satisfaction, but it quickly changed back to concern. The translator picked up. "More will come. Must move quickly." The horizon pushed forward, encountering and jamming 2 more drone clusters before reaching a small moon that orbited a massive gas giant. According to Razor, Her people had settlements on several of the moons in this system. As they approached, Sam stood with Razor at the forward viewport. What they saw silenced everyone on the bridge. The moon's surface showed signs of massive mining operations. Entire sections had been carved away by machinery. In orbit, several large ships were systematically extracting resources and processing them. "Those aren't Vextar ships," Kate said quietly. "No," Sam agreed. "Those designs match Marixa vessels." Frank turned to him sharply. "Marixa? As in, members of the Galactic Conclave?" Sam nodded grimly. "One of the most respected trading species in the galaxy. They sit on the Commerce Council." Razor made a low, mournful sound that needed no translation. Her home was being systematically stripped while her people were hunted. The ship's sensors picked up an alarm. "Captain," Amy called out, "we're detecting weapons fire on the surface." "There appears to be an active battle happening." Frank made a quick decision. "Take us in, but maintain stealth protocols. I want to see what's happening without announcing our presence." The Horizon descended toward the moon, using the sensor blocking, techniques that had been developed for Earth's early exploratory missions. As they broke through the thin atmosphere, they could see the conflict clearly. A group of Vextar was defending what appeared to be a settlement built into a mountain range. They were surrounded by mechanized units and what looked like Marixa soldiers in environmental suits. "They're being slaughtered," Sam said, watching as a young Vextar fell to concentrated fire. Razor pressed her claws against the viewport, her plates turning a deep, pulsing red that the translator interpreted as both rage and grief. "We have to help them," Kate urged. Frank looked conflicted. "Our orders were to observe and report back. We're not equipped for a war against Conclave members." Sam turned to him. "Frank, we're witnessing genocide. We can't just watch." Before the captain could respond, a bright flash lit up the view screen. One of the Marixa ships had detected them and fired a warning shot. "We've been spotted," Amy reported. "They're demanding we identify ourselves." Frank straightened his uniform. "Open a channel." A Marixa face appeared on screen. The alien had smooth gray skin and large eyes set in a narrow face. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered a restricted mining operation. State your purpose immediately." Frank responded, "This is Captain Frank Rodriguez of the Earth vessel USS Horizon. We're on a diplomatic mission." The Marixa's eyes narrowed. "Earth? You're a long way from your sector, human. This area is claimed by the Marixa Consortium for resource extraction. According to our information, this is the home world of the Vextar species," Frank replied calmly. "The Vextar are dangerous predators that have been classified as vermin by Conclave Special Measure," the Marixa stated flatly. "Our operations here are fully sanctioned." Sam stepped into view, with Razor deliberately staying out of the camera's range. "May I ask which special measure authorized the extermination of a sentient species?" The Marixa official hesitated, clearly not expecting this question. "That information is classified. You are ordered to leave this system immediately." The transmission cut off. Moments later, the ship rocked as something hit them from behind. "We've been hit by a mining laser," Paul shouted. "Engine 3 is offline." "Get us out of here," Frank ordered. The Horizon lurched as Amy tried to maneuver away from the attacking ships, but another hit sent them spinning toward the moon's surface. "Brace for impact," Frank called as the ground rushed up to meet them. The ship crashed with a deafening roar, skidding across rocky terrain before coming to rest in a narrow valley. Emergency systems kicked in, stabilizing life support. Sam picked himself up from the floor and looked around. Most of the crew seemed injured but alive. Through the cracked viewport, he could see that they had crashed only a few miles from the Vextar settlement. They were stranded on a war-torn moon, far from help, with the only allies being a species the galaxy feared, and now they knew why. Smoke rose from the damaged sections of the USS Horizon as crew members worked to assess the situation. The crash had left them stranded in a narrow valley on the Vextar moon, with limited power and several injured personnel. Sam helped Kate bandage a cut on her arm while Captain Rodriguez organized repair teams. "Ship status?" Rodriguez asked as engineer Paul Davis emerged from the engine room, his face smudged with grease. "Not good, Captain," Paul replied. Main engines are completely offline. Life support is functioning on backup power, but communications are down. How long to get a distress signal working? Paul wiped his hands on a rag. With the equipment we have? At least 2 days. And even then, I'm not sure anyone friendly would hear it in this part of space. Razor stood near the viewport, her armor, plates shifting through colors of concern and determination. Through the translator, she said, "Marixa ships will search. Find us soon." Rodriguez nodded grimly. "We need to prepare defenses and find a more secure location. What about the Vextar?" "Settlement we saw?" Sam suggested. "It's only a few miles from here. Maybe they could help us." "Or eat us," muttered one of the security officers. Razor's translator picked up his comment. She turned, her plates flashing a pattern they had learned indicated something, like indignation. "Vextar not eat beings who think, only hunt for food animals." Sam stepped forward. "Razor is right. Everything we've learned about the Vextar contradicts what the galaxy believes about them. They're intelligent and have a complex society." Rodriguez considered this. "Sam, you and Kate take Razor and try to make contact with the local Vextar. Lieutenant Amy, you go with them. The rest of us will secure the ship and begin repairs." Amy. Doyle looked nervous at being assigned to the away team. She had kept her distance from Razor since the journey began, clearly uncomfortable around the massive predator. The small group left the ship carrying emergency supplies and weapons. As they hiked across the rocky terrain, the huge gas giant loomed in the sky above them, its rings creating shadows across the landscape. "So beautiful," Kate said, looking up at the vista. "Hard to believe there's a war happening here." Razor made a series of clicks that the translator interpreted as, "Home was peaceful. Many seasons of building learning. Then Marixa came." They continued walking in silence until Amy finally asked the question that had been bothering her. "Why did they come? What do they want from your world?" Razor's response was slow, as if she was choosing her words carefully. "Our bodies make special material. Rare in galaxy. Valuable for medicines, technology." "You mean the mineral in your armor plates?" Kate asked, her scientific curiosity piqued. "Yes. Grows naturally in Vextar. Merrick's had discovered this. Began hunting us, taking plates from dead ones. Then decided, faster to mine our world, kill all Vextar." Sam felt sick at the thought. They're committing genocide for profit and using the Vextar's dangerous reputation as cover, Amy added, her fear of Razor seemingly forgotten in the face of this injustice. They crested a hill and saw the settlement in the distance. Unlike human buildings, Vextar structures were partially embedded in the rock face with organic-looking extensions that seemed to grow from the mountain itself. Razor tensed suddenly, her plates darkening to warning colors. "Stay down," her translator conveyed urgently. The group dropped to the ground just as a Marixa patrol craft flew overhead. It hovered near the settlement, scanning the area before moving on toward another section of the moon. "They hunt for survivors," Razor explained. "And for your ship." Once the patrol was gone, they continued more cautiously. As they approached the settlement, several adult Vextar emerged from concealed positions, their armor plates bristling with defensive spikes. Razor stepped forward and made a complex series of sounds and color changes that the translator couldn't fully interpret. The other Vexitar responded in kind, their initial aggression shifting to something like cautious curiosity. "I have explained humans are friends," Razor told the group. "They will not harm you, but are suspicious. Many bad experiences with off-worlders." An older Vextar with battle-scarred plates approached them. This one was even larger than Razor, with armor that had dulled from age. The elder studied the humans with multiple eyes before making a gesture of welcome. The inside of the Vextar settlement was surprisingly beautiful. The walls were covered in luminescent materials that gave off a soft light, and intricate patterns were carved into the stone. Young Vextar, smaller than the adults but still larger than humans, watched the visitors with unabashed curiosity. "I had no idea," Kate whispered, looking around. "They're artists." The elder Vextar led them to a central chamber where a map of the moon was displayed on a large table-like structure. Through Razor's translation, they learned that this was one of the last Vextar strongholds. Most of their cities had already been destroyed by the Marixa, their populations either killed or scattered. "How many of your people are left?" Sam asked. The answer was grim. Once millions strong, the Vextar population had been reduced to fewer than 10,000 across all the moons of the gas giant. Amy studied the map. The Marixa have mining operations on nearly half the surface. They're being systematic about this. A younger Vextar burst into the chamber, making urgent sounds. Razor translated quickly. "Marixa forces moving toward your crashed ship. Many machines, soldiers." Sam activated his communicator. "Captain, you need to evacuate immediately. Marixa forces are heading your way." Static was his only answer. "Communication's still down," Kate said. "We need to warn them in person." The elder Vextar made a series of commands and several warriors prepared for battle. Through Razor's translation, the elder offered, "We will help your people. You helped Razor. Now we help you." Amy looked surprised. "You would risk yourselves for us? You don't even know us." Razor translated the elder's response. "Razor says you different. Treat us as thinking beings, not monsters. We see truth now." Before they could leave, a distant explosion shook the ground. From the settlement entrance, they could see smoke rising from the direction of the USS Horizon. "We're too late," Sam said, his heart sinking. But Razor's translator conveyed unexpected hope. "Maybe not. Vextar know tunnels under mountains. Can reach your ship another way, faster than Marixa." The elder Vextar led them to a hidden entrance at the back of the settlement. It opened into a network of tunnels that glowed with the same luminescent material as the buildings. As they hurried through the passages, Amy found herself running alongside Razor. The lieutenant who had once feared the alien predator now asked, "Why didn't your people fight back more? You're stronger than the Marixa." Razor's reply was simple but profound. "Vextar strong in body, yes. But we believe strength best used to protect, not destroy. We fought only to defend. Did not understand. Galaxy saw us as monsters until too late. The tunnel system brought them out just behind the crashed ship. They emerged to find the horizon surrounded by Marixa forces. Captain Rodriguez and the crew had taken defensive positions, but they were clearly outnumbered. We need a distraction, Sam said. Something to draw their attention while we get to the ship. The Vextar warriors looked to their elder, who made a decision with a series of rapid color changes. Razor translated, "We will create diversion. You reach your people. Together we fight." Sam nodded, grateful for their help but worried about what would happen next. Even if they reunited with the crew, they were still stranded on a hostile moon with little hope of escape. As the Vextar prepared for battle, Sam realized that the galaxy's most feared predators had become humanity's most important allies and perhaps their only hope for survival. The Vextar warriors moved with surprising silence despite their size. They spread out around the perimeter where Marixa forces surrounded the crashed ship. Sam, Kate, and Amy stayed low behind a ridge, watching as the plan unfolded. "Now," Razor said through her translator. At her signal, the Vextar attacked from multiple directions at once. The Marixa soldiers were caught by surprise. They had expected to find only helpless humans, not coordinated strikes from the galaxy's most feared predators. Their formation broke as they turned to face this new threat. "That's our chance," Sam said. "Let's move." The three humans sprinted toward the horizon while the Marixa were distracted. Captain Rodriguez spotted them from a defensive position near the ship's damaged hull and provided covering fire. "Glad to see you made it," Rodriguez said as they reached safety. "Who are your friends?" "Local Vextar," Sam explained quickly. "They're helping us. The Marixa have been systematically destroying their civilization for resources." A nearby explosion rocked the ground as a Marixa weapon found its target. One of the Vextar warriors fell, dark fluid leaking from between its armor plates. "We can't stay here," Kate urged. "The Marixa will bring reinforcements." Engineer Paul approached them, his face grim. "Captain, I've got communications partially working, but not enough for a distress call. However, I've detected something strange. He held up a small device. There's another ship entering the system. It's not Marixa design. Sam looked at the readings. Those are conclave markings. A patrol ship. Razor made a series of urgent clicks. Her translator conveyed, more danger. Conclave ships help Marixa, not us. The fighting intensified around them. Despite the Vextar's natural strength and armor, the Marixa's advanced weapons were taking a toll. 3 more warriors had fallen, and the humans' ammunition was running low. Inside the ship, Rodriguez gathered the survivors for a quick council. Options? Anyone? The communications array is damaged but salvageable, Paul said. If I could combine it with some of the Vextar technology, we might boost the signal enough to reach conclave space. The elder Vextar, who had joined them inside, the ship made a series of gestures that Razor translated. We have materials, special crystals that conduct energy, like those the Marixa steal from us. Kate's eyes widened. The minerals in their armor plates, they naturally conduct and amplify energy. Paul nodded excitedly. That could work. With enough of that material, I could boost our signal by a factor of 10. The elder Vextar made a solemn gesture, then removed one of its own armor plates. The process clearly caused pain, but the elder insisted when Sam tried to stop it. Other Vextar followed their leader's example, each donating a piece of their natural armor. They're literally giving parts of themselves to help us, Amy said softly. While Paul worked to modify the communications array with the Vextar materials, the battle outside reached a critical point. The Marixa had regrouped and were pushing back against the Vextar defenders. Sam and Razor fought side by side near the ship's entrance. Where once the galaxy would have seen only a human foolishly standing beside a monster, now there were 2, allies defending each other as equals. Sam, Paul called from inside. The array's ready, but I need to place it on higher ground to clear the interference from the moon's magnetic field. Sam looked up at a rocky outcrop about 50 meters away. There, he pointed. That should give enough elevation. Razor immediately volunteered to carry the device. With her natural armor, she had the best chance of reaching the outcrop through enemy fire. Sam insisted on going with her. They made a dash across open ground. Marixa weapons fire exploded around them, but Razor's massive body shielded Sam as they ran. They reached the outcrop and quickly set up the modified communications array. Broadcasting now, Sam reported through his communicator. Signal is strong. If anyone's listening, they'll hear us. A Marixa ship appeared overhead, its weapons systems targeting their position. Sam and Razor had nowhere to run. Just as the ship prepared to fire, a brilliant beam of energy cut through the sky, striking the Marixa vessel. It exploded in a ball of flame. Above them, a massive conclave warship had arrived. This is Admiral John Perry of the Galactic Conclave. A voice announced over an open channel. All forces stand down immediately. The Marixa troops hesitated, clearly confused by the Admiral's orders. Their commander protested over the communication channel. Admiral, we are conducting sanctioned mining operations against hostile wildlife. Wildlife? Perry's voice was cold. I'm looking at sensor readings that show intelligent life forms and evidence of civilization, and I'm receiving a very interesting transmission from the human ship below. The transmission Paul had sent contained all the evidence they had gathered, the systematic destruction of Vextar cities, the true nature of Marixa mining operations, and proof of the Vextar's intelligence and peaceful intentions when not threatened. More conclave ships appeared surrounding the Marixa forces. The battle gradually subsided as the Marixa, realizing they were outgunned, surrendered. Admiral Perry's shuttle landed near the crashed horizon. The Admiral emerged, accompanied by armed guards who looked nervously at the gathered Vextar. Perry approached Sam and Rodriguez, deliberately avoiding looking directly at Razor. Captain Mr. Miller, you've caused quite a diplomatic incident. With all due respect, Admiral, Sam replied, we uncovered a genocide. The Marixa have been exterminating the Vextar and covering it up. Perry nodded stiffly. So your transmission indicated The Conclave Council is disturbed by these allegations. They're not allegations, Kate interjected, stepping forward with her data tablet. I've documented everything. The Vextar are highly intelligent beings with art, culture, and technology. The Marixa have been hunting them for the minerals in their armor plates. Perry finally looked at Razor and the other Vextar. There was still fear in his eyes, but also something new. Uncertainty. The council must review this evidence, he said formally. Until then, this moon is under Conclave protection. In the days that followed, more Conclave ships arrived. Scientists and diplomats came to study the Vextar and their civilization. Kate led the xenobiological research, documenting the amazing properties of Vextar biology that had made them targets. The Marixa representatives were called before the Conclave to answer for their actions. Their defense, that the Vextar were merely dangerous animals, fell apart in the face of overwhelming evidence. 1 month later, Sam stood in the great chamber of the Galactic Conclave beside Razor. Before them, the council was in session, with representatives from 100 worlds watching. The Conclave director spoke solemnly. Today we acknowledge a grave injustice. Based on fear and misunderstanding, we classified an intelligent species as wildlife, enabling their exploitation and near extinction. Razor's translator conveyed her response, broadcast to all present. Vextar seek peace, wish to join Galaxy. Community as equals, not enemies. Admiral Perry, who had once advocated for Razor's termination, now stood and addressed the council. I was wrong about the Vextar. My fear blinded me to the truth that these humans somehow saw from the beginning. Why? Council voted unanimously to recognize the Vextar as a sentient species with full rights under Conclave law. The Marixa Consortium was sanctioned for its actions and reparations were ordered. As the session ended, Sam felt a sense of completion. The human who had shocked the galaxy by befriending its deadliest predator had changed history. More importantly, he had made a friend who defied all expectations. Razor's plates shifted to a warm golden color as she turned to Sam. The translator wasn't needed for her simple message. Thank you. Around them, other species were approaching cautiously, seeing the Vextar with new eyes. The deadliest predators in the galaxy were no longer to be feared, but understood. And it had taken humanity, the newcomers to galactic society, to show the way.